With that damn knot in my chest, I drove into the Glens Pride residential complex that evening. It was inexpensive housing that needed a new coat of paint, and grass was starting to grow through the cracks in the asphalt in the parking lot. In contrast, there was an impressive fleet of cars in the parking lot. There were numerous Lexus and BMWs, several high-end pickup trucks. Heck, I even spotted a first-class yellow Mustang around the corner. Most of these cars had one thing in common. They were old. Only a few looked new, and the rest were worn out. Scratches, dents, and dings testified that their owners were trying to squeeze a few more years and miles out of cars they had bought in better times. I thought about this as I parked my 2-year-old Toyota Avalon near the house Ed had given me the number for. I knocked on the door and the resident opened it. He was unshaven, but it was the weekend. He was wearing a clean but worn t-shirt and faded jeans, comfortable clothes. The man was about 40, but he could have been a worn-out 35 or a healthy 50. For some reason, I didn't believe he was 50. He was holding a can of Diet Pepsi in his hand. "Are you Ed's friend?" he asked suspiciously. "Yes, Kit." I held out my hand and he shook it cautiously. "I think you'd better come in." His face was contorted with pain. I don't know if he always looked like that or if it was because he knew I was coming and what we were going to talk about. I looked around as I entered. Against the wall was a sofa with sagging, worn cushions. Next to the front door was a recliner. On the table next to it were remote controls and a stack of well-thumbed westerns, spy novels, and history books. To the right of the door was a small dining table, large enough for two, and a kitchenette. There were several dirty plates in the sink, and the trash probably needed to be taken out, but otherwise everything was clean. The carpet was a faded rust color with several stains. He noticed my gaze. "Nothing special, but cheap. And when you get divorced, that's the most important thing, unless you're rich. And there are no rich people after divorce. There are a lot of divorced men here. Some of them are cheaters. Some didn't get along with their wives. Some married whores like me. Can you tell me what happened?" Ed said I should hear your story. He didn't tell me anything else. I was married to that bitch for 12 years. I believed I would live with her forever with that whore. We had 2 children. We had jobs. Life wasn't perfect. We were broke. But when are you ever not broke? I believed everything was fine. Then that bitch cheated on me. "Why?" "Why?" he asked indignantly. "What does it matter why? Isn't it enough that she did it?" He hesitated a little, then said, "Besides, I never found out why." "Really? Why?" "Because of what I did." A grim half-smile appeared on his face. Then he grimaced, and it disappeared. "That bitch hurt me. She hurt me badly, and I needed revenge. That lying whore believed I was an idiot and that she could do whatever she wanted and get away with it. Well, not on my turf. I had to look in the mirror. She took my manhood away from me and I wanted it back." He leaned forward in his chair and rested his elbows on his knees, and I could see his thoughts drifting back to the distant past. From his body language, I could tell that this chair was his home. He spoke slowly. "I just couldn't live with the thought that she got away without paying for everything. So I planned everything, waited, hired a detective, and collected photos. On Thanksgiving, we had a big dinner with most of the family. I took the kids out of the dining room and sat them down to watch a movie, while I poured champagne and took out a large folder and pulled out some 8x10 photos. They cost a fortune, as did the detectives, and I threw them on the table and told them what that damn bitch had been doing." He laughed maliciously. "You should have seen her face, everyone's faces. I wish I hadn't done that. The photos were scattered all over the table and some of them landed in the potatoes with gravy. It was a terrible mess. But that wasn't all. I sent her a damn envelope at work. She was having fun with some guy in the office." "What happened next?" "Those fucking bastards blamed me." "What?" I exclaimed indignantly. "Why did they do that?" Did you beat her or cheat on her or something? No, no. They were angry at me for... What did that jerk Jim say? Making a scene. Making a scene? You want a scene? Look at your wife bent over the couch. Now that's a scene. Some were angry that I ruined their holiday. Some were angry that I told them about it. Others were angry that I treated her so cruelly. Fucking bastards. He sighed. It was awful. Most of her relatives, of course, aren't talking to me. And my mother was furious like I've never seen her before. My own mother. I guess all women are bitches. She said I ruined us, as if it were some damn hot dish or something. It wasn't a hot dish. It was a burnt-out marriage. What did your wife say? She didn't say anything. The bitch wouldn't talk to me after that. I heard from relatives that I hurt her too much. La-di-da, damn it, I hurt her? That unbelievable bitch had the nerve to say that I, damn it, hurt her too much? I trusted her. I loved her, and she did this to me. Of course, we got divorced, and she filed a counterclaim or whatever the hell it's called. Whoever she was. I grimaced. Was it bad? Have you ever heard of a good divorce? Well, I fired her because of the photos I sent to her boss and that bitch judge. I swear, all those bitches are in cahoots. They made me pay maximum alimony because it's my fault she lost her job. And child support. Child support doesn't bother me that much. They're my kids. I don't want to ruin their lives. Not like their mother who cheated on me. But writing her a check always makes me mad. Did she get the house? Yes, he sighed, lowering his head. That doesn't bother me either. I mean, it was hard enough for the kids, but that bitch brought some guy there to live with her. That bothers me. Did she keep seeing that guy? No. His face took on a strange expression. I asked a few friends. The few I have left. She broke up with that fucking bastard from work a couple of weeks before November. She hasn't seen him since. I thought about that for a few seconds. If she broke up with him, didn't you think, make up? He gave me a withering look. What kind of man are you? Who do you think I am? Didn't you hear what I said? She cheated on me. She slept with another man. Do you think I'm some kind of weak, cuckolded cream pie eater? Even if she crawled back to me on her knees, I wouldn't take her back. He leaned back in his chair, as if enjoying the image in his head. Once a cheater, always a cheater, he said slowly. I shuddered at the image. And if she cheated on you once, she'll cheat on you again. No ifs, ands, or buts. How did you catch her? Fools. I waited a second, believing it was just his way of talking. When he didn't continue, I looked at him in confusion. Fools? Yes, she was a very careful whore. She took showers. She made up good excuses. She made sure I didn't find out. I was a damn fool. But I took out the trash like a good, weak husband. We bought cheap, clear trash bags, and I noticed that there were suddenly a hell of a lot of Summer's Eve boxes in the trash. No bitch washes herself that often unless she's doing something she shouldn't be, so I started watching her. I caught her. I thought about it. I shook my head mentally and changed the subject. Your kids, what about them? He slumped. My Becca. She was smart as a whip. Always had been. Right after the divorce, her grades dropped like a rock. I did everything I could, hired tutors, spent as much time with her as I could. Damn custody rules. I really tried. She's okay now. Jeremy's better too, but he was depressed for a long time. They're not the same as they used to be. Not quite, even after 4 years. We were silent while he thought about his children, and I respected the pain I heard in his voice. After a while, he said, Ed sent you here. He said you're going through the same thing. I nodded. Yes. When I admitted it, it felt like the knot I'd been carrying in my chest for the last few weeks tightened even more. Divorce her. Don't suffer, because she'll do it again and bring you home some other woman. There are good women in the world, but once she's broken, she'll do it again. Bob from 3B. That damn fool took his wife back. She cheated on him many times before he finally came to his senses. Don't settle, because she's already hurt you badly. Don't let her take your pride away from you. It's all you have left." He was sympathetic. "I don't know. I have a kid." I stumbled as I stood up. "Thanks for listening." I headed for the door. He sat there and looked at me. "Man, Kit, you need to look in the mirror. If you take her back, she'll believe she got the better of you. And before you know it, you'll fight. Or she'll go back to her games, or she'll get excited about another guy and break your heart again. And if you're a big jerk, she'll talk you into letting her have fun on the side. Don't do that. Get rid of her. Maybe not the way I did, but dump that bitch and find yourself a good woman. I'll keep an eye out." And 4 years had passed, as I mentally noted. He stood up wearily and walked over to me, shaking my hand. "You have to figure this out for yourself. But think about it carefully and don't let yourself be fooled." He winked at me. I left and sat in my car for a while, thinking about the changes coming in my life. Aside from his obsession, he had said some very sensible things, and he clearly loved his children and trust. Once it's broken, how do you fix it? Ed, my favorite bartender, gave me this guy's name when I poured my heart out to him. I cursed and railed against my unfaithful wife, talking heatedly about revenge, divorce, and reconciliation. He made a phone call and sent me over to see him. I didn't understand why. He didn't seem particularly wise or even smart. One thing he said stuck with me. "Don't let her take your pride away from you." She stole a lot with her infidelity. My confidence as a husband, lover, man, my faith in her and in people in general. She stole my vision of what the future held for me. And now Captain Turret was warning me that she was trying to steal my pride. I looked at his shabby little apartment. Then I imagined a big house somewhere with a couple of unhappy children and a wife who probably didn't enjoy life. Very few single mothers could attract young, well-built men. Pride, one of the 7 deadly sins on a par with lust, also seemed to have its price. 2 unhappy dwellings. No, not dwellings, homes, for the price of pride. I started the car. Time to go to the lawyer. As it turned out, I had to make 2 stops. Damn! I entered the house. Peggy was standing there, glancing cautiously at me. There had been a lot of unpleasant and angry words over the past week, and I really couldn't blame her. However, I believed that I looked much calmer today. For some reason, she still looked very distressed. Maybe I didn't look calm. Maybe my calmness was making her uneasy, especially if I was thinking about divorce. "Bitch, I tried my best to even express my thoughts politely. She was playing mommy again, holding our 1-year-old daughter Mary in her arms and rocking her. She claimed it was a mixture of hormones, fatigue, postpartum depression, insecurity, and, of course, the problems I had caused her that made her cheat on me. Yeah, right. Why might matter later, but not now. "We need to talk," I told her. "Are you going to yell at me again? I'm sorry," she said quickly, noticing my grim expression. "I don't want to fight, but I don't want you to wake Mary." "Of course. You're Betty Crocker, damn it. I wonder if Betty had fun with other men, too." I dismissed the thought as unworthy. I tried to take the middle road, but it was difficult. I struggled to keep my voice steady. "Here's what we'll do. Put her down, and we can focus on having a constructive conversation." She continued to stare at me with a wary expression. The fact that I was carrying a large plastic bag and a thick envelope didn't exactly reassure her, but she turned and went upstairs to put Mary in her crib. To be honest, I found this expression much more honest than the smiling, cheerful Stepford wife she had tried to portray when I first found out about her affair, as if she could smile and have sex her way out of trouble. I wasn't that stupid or naive. She came back and sat down on the sofa. I took a chair on the other side of the coffee table, as I had some documents I wanted to show her. "You say you want us to get through this, but I'm finding it very difficult to do so. Despite what you said, I did everything I could to save our marriage. I didn't make things worse by cheating on you. Now I have two options. I can go to a lawyer, get a divorce, and we can move on with our lives. Maybe we'll meet someone else. Maybe our lives will be full of regrets. But I'll keep my pride. When I said the word divorce, she visibly tensed up. I watched her body language closely. It meant something important to her. The problem was that I didn't know her motives. Just staying with me so she wouldn't be labeled a slut, or because she didn't want to be a single mother, didn't really work for me. I wanted her to be with me because she wanted to be with me. The knot in my chest didn't tighten anymore, but it didn't loosen either. Another option is to forget about it completely and pretend nothing happened. When I mentioned this, she sat up a little straighter. That means I swallow my pride and live with the humiliation that you cheated on me. I can try to find a way to get over the pain. I didn't mean to hurt you, she repeated, probably for the 100th time in the last week. This time she said it defensively. And I apologized until my throat hurt. Drunk drivers don't want to hit pedestrians either, but that doesn't make them any less dead. I took a deep breath and suppressed my emotions. Nevertheless, I don't want a divorce. But today, in this shitty apartment, I realized something. There was a divorced man there. You know, I didn't even know his name. Just some anonymous guy with an obsession. It doesn't matter. He was cheated on too, but he was proud and got divorced. I didn't like that, but I saw where he lived. There were a lot of divorced men living there, and they lived poorly. They were cheated by the system. This guy's wife cheated on him twice. I took another deep breath. I don't want a divorce, I repeated, but we have serious trust issues. Maybe I hurt our marriage too, but I didn't do anything that deserved that level of disrespect. So I have 3 conditions. You said you want to make amends and you swear you love me. I'll take you at your word. I have 3 demands. First, we need to find a marriage counselor, someone who can help us work through this, and we'll probably both need therapy. If we've gotten to this point, then obviously we don't know how to save our marriage, and we need help and time to think things through. She nodded slowly. I don't like the idea of airing our dirty laundry in public, but I think I can do it. If it's a man, I interrupted her. It will be a man. She frowned but said nothing. I'm going to have to reveal to another man that my wife hit me in the back, and you won't have to deal with all that stupid emotional sisterhood stuff. With a man, I might feel more supported. Or at least I'll trust him more. And that's what it's all about, right? If I can't trust a counselor, why waste money on visits? She clearly didn't like my logic, but it was hard to argue with her. I took the envelope out of the manila folder. Second, we need to go to a notary tomorrow, and you need to sign these documents. I placed the documents on the table in front of her, straightening them so they lay flat. These are my personal documents. What are these? She barely glanced at them. This is a document for divorce on the grounds of adultery, I began, touching one of the documents. You're a monster! I believed you when you said you wanted to save our marriage. Her face was indignant. I did, and I do. Listen carefully. I said you have to sign. I won't. It won't be legal until we both sign. What are you trying to do? Are you just stringing me along and getting ready to pull the rug out from under me? Are you trying to hold me hostage? Is this blackmail? I shook my head. Nothing like that. This is about trust, and I don't have any. The first document is a confirmation that you are waiving your right to have a lawyer review the prenuptial agreement and agree to act as your own representative. You confirm that you have had the opportunity to review it. The second document is the prenuptial agreement. It's pretty unfair to me. You agree to 30% of the total property, alimony for 6 months, and half of the proceeds from the sale of the house. You give me unlimited visitation rights to Mary, and a few personal items that I love are taken out of the joint property and given to me. There is no mention of child support for Mary because I love my daughter and will not let her suffer. What's to stop you from luring me with the possibility of reconciliation and then just signing the papers to cheat me? she asked, crossing her arms over her chest. You'll just have to trust me. She paled noticeably. Listen, this past week I've felt very insecure about myself and our marriage, but I'm not going to subject myself to abuse from you again because of your actions if things don't work out between us. I don't want that. I hesitated a little. I would like us to finally get to the point where we can go to a barbecue and burn all these pages together. I would like to trust you enough that this offensive business turns to ashes and remains only a bad memory. My voice grew firmer. But that day hasn't come. Is this revenge? She asked, staring intently at my face. She seemed calmer. Number I told you. If the worst happens and we do get divorced, all I'll have left is a shred of self-respect and my things. Things won't keep you warm at night, but they can make your life comfortable. And if we're getting divorced, I really don't care about your comfort. If there's a little revenge, blackmail, or whatever, well, I consider that a bonus. I regret smiling a little when I said that. Okay. Not really sorry, but I felt a little guilty. Later. Much later. She didn't take it very well. But women sometimes lack a sense of humor. What's this? She asked, picking up the third document. This is an affidavit stating that you cheated on me. Divorce because of cheating isn't enough? Her eyes scanned the page. No, I want to be sure. She interrupted me, tearing the document in half. I'm not signing this. This is not up for discussion, I began. I won't sign it because it's not true. It says here that I gave myself completely to my lover, and that's not true. It wasn't love, I never let him do anything. And I won't admit to a lie. What are you saying? She reached out and put her hand on my shoulder. It practically says here that I was a whore for David, and that's not true. If I didn't let the man I love... I began to protest, but she interrupted me. I'm the same person, not some crazy whore. That's why I won't sign this. Why do you even need this? I didn't want to be the villain in this drama. You're not bad. You're trying to be good, at least as much as you can. I can't say it doesn't hurt, but... Okay, let's get this over with. What's the third thing? I reached for the chair to grab my bag. If we start having sex again? If we have sex, then you can take your papers and shove them up your ass. I'm not going through this to have a roommate. I want my husband back, not a lifetime of tiptoeing around and not being... She was breathing heavily, her face red with rage, and I felt the knot in my chest loosen. A little. She was serious. She wasn't interested in a platonic or inadequate relationship. She wanted to be here. She wanted to be my partner. She wanted to have sex with me. It was so important to her that she called me to tell me. One of the most painful things about this situation was the uncertainty that she loved me, that she needed me. And while I couldn't know if she liked sex with David more, the fact that she valued what we had and wanted it back so badly that she was willing to accept my terms made me feel not healed, but lighter. It gave me hope that maybe we could get through this. I fell silent, breathing heavily. It took me a few moments to collect my thoughts, and suddenly my last condition seemed a little silly. Honey? What's the last condition? She asked, looking at me intently. Peggy realized that something important had happened, and who knows? Maybe she felt hope too. I blushed and picked up the bag. When we start having sex again, I'd like you to use this for a while. She held out her hand with an expression that was a mixture of understanding and slight concern. She looked into the bag, and her expression quickly changed to one of bewilderment. She rummaged through the bag looking for sex toys and lingerie. Honey, there's nothing in here except air freshener. Damn it, this guy and his damn stories. Simon Velasquez looked to his left when he felt someone sit down at the other end of the wooden bench in the park to his right. He didn't feel the need to look at the other person. He was enjoying the gorgeous, sunny morning of early spring in Southern California, the kind of day that was just made for postcard photos, sitting on a bench with a big cup of hot coffee in his hands. A few minutes later, he looked to his right and saw another woman sitting on the bench, a stocky, middle-aged woman who looked familiar to him. He resisted the temptation to stare openly at the woman, trying to figure out where he knew her from, and tried to catch her fleeting glance. She seemed to be busy watching her child hanging from the bars. On the fourth or fifth glance at her, the hairs on his arms stood on end. He realized that not only did he know this woman, but he had once been married to her. His blood pressure shot up. His heart began to beat faster. He argued with himself, wondering whether to ignore her or acknowledge her. The argument was interrupted by the woman herself. "Yes, Simon, it's really me, the Wicked Witch of the West in the flesh," Devin Velasquez declared. Simon slowly turned to his ex-wife, taking in her appearance for the first time in almost 10 years. To say he was shocked would be an understatement. He hoped his face didn't show his shock. Simon knew Devin was the same age as him, 50, but she looked about 60 to him. She was 50 pounds heavier than when they were married. Her face was lined with wrinkles and crow's feet, and her once lush blonde curls were now cut into a mouse-colored pixie style. Yikes. Wow. Not very impressive, to say the least. "Please be a gentleman, Si. I know what I look like," Devin said. "I wasn't going to be anything less, Dev. You know I'm not like that," Simon replied. "Which one is your boyfriend?" A few feet away from Devin, 3 boys were sitting on the monkey bars. They were all about the same age as her son, who must be 9, as far as he could remember. He had no idea because he hadn't seen him since he was a toddler. She stared intently at Simon. "The blonde one in blue. I know you don't remember if you ever knew him. His name is Brandon," she said with a hint of irritation in her voice. "I'm sorry, Devin. He's a nice guy," Simon said. "And he's a good guy," Devin said. "He put up with a lot of crap he shouldn't have had to deal with, but he was always there for his mom." It was Simon's turn to look angrily at his ex-wife. "It's not my job to apologize for his deadbeat father, Devin. You made that choice yourself," he said sharply. She winced, knowing Simon was right. He was usually like that. She was just too selfish to admit it at the time. She was 40 years old and felt old and depressed. Simon's career as an accountant was going well. Their children, aged 15 and 13, were doing well at school, and her career as an office manager at a small law firm was also progressing well. However, she had regrets. She wanted more. In particular, more excitement. It was just a one-time birthday gift, something special that would help her feel like a kid again on her 40th birthday. The kids were going to spend the weekend at her parents' house. With the help of a friend, Devin invited a 19-year-old guy from a local college to arrange a night of debauchery for her celebration. Simon had to decide whether he wanted to stay and watch what was going on or leave for the evening. It wasn't a request. Everything had been decided in advance. His only decision was whether to stay or leave for the night. "No! Not just no, but no way!" he yelled when she told him about it. "I won't let you sleep with some 19-year-old shithead to make you feel young. We made a vow 17 years ago. It didn't include turning me down for one night when you turn 40. It's my body, and I can give it to whoever I want," she retorted. "I need this. It will be good for me, and that means it will be good for you." That was it. In a nutshell, he thought. If it was good for her, it would be good for him, and for the family. She knew he loved her too much to ever deny her what she really wanted. And she really wanted it, just as she had wanted and gotten the huge, fancy house and the huge, fancy SUV she drove. He tried his best to talk her out of this madness, but nothing would stop her. He made one more desperate attempt before Mr. College Student was due to arrive. She laughed at him when she refused his request. At that moment, Simon left, trying hard not to cry, and grabbed his wallet and car keys. He drove off in a rage, but returned 10 minutes later and parked quietly at the end of his block. He had to see for himself that his wife was really going through with it. A few minutes after 8, a late-model SUV pulled up to his house, and a tall, muscular guy got out and rang the doorbell. Damn, this bastard is a big guy with bad taste in cars, Simon thought as he watched the young man enter his house. His hands were shaking with rage as he gripped the steering wheel of his Mustang. Simon hadn't seen what his wife had changed into when he left the house. She greeted Lee Carter at the door wearing a revealing top, denim shorts that were too short, and high-heeled shoes, clothes she never wore in front of her husband. She wasn't going to make her young lover work too hard. "Wow, I like it," the young man breathed, looking the woman up and down like a wolf looking at a rabbit. Devin blushed. He smiled radiantly, walked up to the woman, and planted his best kiss on her soft, luxurious lips. Devin wrapped her leg around the young man's hip, and they continued to kiss passionately for several long minutes. Finally, he lifted her by her buttocks and carried her to a chair in the living room, sitting her down in front of him. They continued to kiss passionately. Although Devin really enjoyed having sex with her husband, her first experience with Lee was a revelation. She would remember this birthday for the rest of her life, if she could calm her husband down when he finally came home. However, Devin didn't have much time to worry about Simon. That evening, the couple had sex twice more, once in the kitchen and once in Simon's marital bed. Both she and her young lover seemed particularly aroused. "Oh, God, that was amazing, Lee," she exclaimed, as she and her young lover lay entwined when they were finished. "That was the best sex of my life." Devin showed Lee out of the house at 11:30. She took a shower, changed her sheets, and opened the windows in her room, trying to minimize the smell of sex. She was sitting downstairs on the sofa in her fluffy robe, sipping a glass of wine and watching TV, when Simon came in at 12:15, looking a little worn out. Simon wasn't much of a drinker, but even Devin would admit he had a good reason to overindulge that evening. He had taken a taxi home, so at least he had behaved responsibly, she thought. "Would you like some aspirin before we go to bed?" she asked soothingly as Simon staggered into the kitchen. "We? You think there's still a we?" he asked, drawing air quotes above his head. Simon held his hand out to prevent his wife from hugging him. She was disappointed but not surprised. She got close enough to realize that he had been drinking gin, and not just a little. She could also tell that her husband was trying hard not to cry in front of her. He turned away from her, took an 8-ounce bottle of orange juice from the refrigerator, and reached for the aspirin on the kitchen table. Devin had no intention of avoiding the subject of her evening activities, as she felt completely justified in her actions, but she wasn't going to be the one to bring it up. She needed to wait just a minute. "I understand you had a nice birthday," Simon said. It wasn't a question, but Devin knew he was expecting some kind of response. "It was a nice evening. Thank you for the gift," she said. "Let's get this straight," Simon said, stumbling. "I didn't give you that gift. You gave it to yourself." Simon staggered up the stairs, Devin following him. He stopped abruptly when he reached the master bedroom door, and Devin almost bumped into him. He sniffed, then sniffed again. "Even with the window open, I can tell it wasn't just a nice evening," he muttered before walking into the guest bedroom and closing the door behind him. Devin, at least, knew she had to give her husband of 17 years some space. She hoped that eventually he would agree to accept her birthday present. In all the years they had been together, he had never refused her anything she really wanted. Despite a fair amount of alcohol, Simon had slept poorly that night. Just a few hours ago, he had thought he had a wonderful marriage. He wondered how he could have been so wrong. Devin was already preparing Saturday breakfast in the kitchen when Simon stumbled in, suffering from a severe hangover, looking and feeling like shit. Taking pity on her husband, Devon set a cup of black coffee in front of him. "Can you keep your breakfast down, or should I eat alone?" she asked gently. Simon groaned before replying that coffee would be fine. "And I went to all that trouble to make Belgian waffles to go with the bacon," she said, before Simon jumped up from his seat, ran to the bathroom on the first floor, and wrestled with the porcelain god for several minutes. He returned to the kitchen a few minutes later, looking barely alive. "Why didn't you just shoot me, Dev?" Simon asked. "It wouldn't have hurt as much." "Drama is all yours, baby. It wasn't supposed to be a big deal," Devon said quietly. "Obviously, I let you down, Devon, if you felt you needed more than I could give you, or someone else besides me. But I thought you loved me enough that we could talk about our problems, maybe find some kind of solution we could both live with. Or if you had shown me some respect and at least asked me for a divorce first, instead of just breaking my heart," Simon said. "You didn't let me down, Simon. Don't ever think that," Devon said quietly. "This is all about me, my ego and my desires. I'm not getting any younger, Si. As far as I'm concerned, I just wanted to see if I had anything left in the tank, so to speak. And I've done that, and now I don't have to wonder. I've been there, done that. Now we can live the rest of our lives together. Until you want to do it again sometime in the future, for some other stupid reason you can come up with," Simon interjected. "I wouldn't do that. It was just once, remember?" "It shouldn't have happened in the first place. Remember what it said in the renunciation of all others?" Simon muttered. Devon turned away from Simon. He might have had a hangover, but he wasn't stupid. "You know, we've been married for about 6,000 days. How many nights is that out of 6,000? You're the statistics expert. Do the math. It's infinitesimally small," she pleaded. "You want your pass to the gym so you can even the odds? Is that what this is about? Fine. If you're going to be childish about this, no, I don't need my own pass to the gym. I don't want to have sex with anyone but you, although right now I definitely don't want to have sex with you. You don't understand. Your selfishness destroyed us," he raged. "My selfishness? What about your selfishness?" she snapped. "You're telling me you're willing to destroy our family, for one night out of 6,000, for one mistake out of 6,000 days. No, it was hardly a mistake, Dave. You knew exactly what you were doing and you carried out your plan. While I would find it difficult to forgive a mistake, I cannot forgive a heartless plan of betrayal. You betrayed me." "Oh, please, now you're just trying to be a dramatic, whiny bitch. I didn't betray you. I had a night of great sex with another man. Just one night. Now it's over, and now I guess you're going to make me spend the next 30 years making up for it," she said. "No, that's not true," Simon said quietly. "You can't make up for what you did. I'm not some stupid, horny teenager you can distract with sex. Like that stupid, horny teenager you had sex with yesterday. By the way, I wasn't born yesterday. This was set up from the beginning. Where the hell did you find this guy?" Devon's lips twisted unpleasantly. "A friend of Marcy's friend," she began. "Son of a bitch!" I exclaimed. Simon shouted. "I should have known that bitch would be involved in this somehow. Tell me she didn't talk you into this?" "We discussed it, but she didn't talk me into anything," Devon said. "She did the same thing, but her husband didn't throw their marriage away because it hurt his feelings. Edward is a fucking idiot. You know that, and I know that. Are you telling me that because that idiot let Marcy fuck some guy, you decided you could do it too?" Simon asked. Devon shrugged. "When did you stop respecting me? When did my opinion on important matters like our marriage become less important than that of a slut like Marcy?" Despite Devon's protests, Simon filed for divorce a week later. 3 weeks after that, he came home to find Devon sitting alone at the kitchen table, looking as if she was waiting for Simon to speak. "What now, Dev?" he asked sadly, realizing that another argument was brewing. She moved her lips, but Simon couldn't hear her words. "What?" he asked irritably, not particularly caring that they were about to argue. I'm pregnant, she blurted out, more like a sigh than a sentence. Simon froze for a few seconds, not knowing what to say. It wouldn't sound like a reproach. I'm sorry, he whispered finally. I guess we haven't used birth control in so long that you just didn't think. It's been over 10 years since your vasectomy. I just didn't think. If I had thought at all, Devon said. It seems like I really screwed up, but you know I wouldn't have an abortion, honey. You know I just can't. The guy is 19 years old. He's a sophomore in college. He has no money. I've got problems, honey. I'm going to need financial help, but more importantly, I'm going to need emotional help, support from my loving husband. We can do this, Simon, just like we did with our kids. There's still 8 months of pregnancy, childbirth, childhood. Everything else. Please. A month ago, the sight of his wife crying would have broken Simon's heart. But at that moment, he just froze and wondered if he would ever be able to feel again. I can't raise someone else's bastard. As for the rest, those opportunities disappeared when you decided to become a freelancer. I'm sorry, Devon. I'm leaving. You're on your own. 17 years, Si. That has to mean something, she whined. Maybe you should have asked yourself that earlier, he said. Devon moved in with her parents a few weeks before the divorce was finalized. Together with her parents, Devon's children helped her with her stepsister when they came to visit. The children rarely mentioned their father. Devon sometimes asked if he was seeing other women. In most cases, the answer was no. Simon sold the family home a few months after their second child left for college. Devon was sad to learn that the house where her children had grown up was no longer there, but she was extremely grateful to Simon for making sure she received her half of the proceeds in a timely manner. Gradually, contact between the two former spouses faded away as Simon stopped attending any family events, celebrating Christmas and birthdays only with his children and their growing families. I was a foolish, selfish woman. There's no doubt about that, Devon said, moving a little closer to him on the bench. But I have to admit I never saw you really fall for me. At first I was almost certain you would forgive me eventually. Then I was almost certain you would at least be able to cope with it. But I just didn't think you would gather your courage and leave completely. You were too good a guy to just turn your back on me. On us. Even if the child wasn't yours. You went from being the best guy in the world to a man who walked away for good. I couldn't have seen it coming. It couldn't have been about money. You were never selfish about your money. Even our children were shocked by how cold you became. I know they expressed these feelings to you shortly after the divorce, but they told me you were impervious to their pleas, so they soon stopped. You made their last few years at home very uncomfortable. You knew that. Or did you not care? Were you just so angry at me that nothing else mattered? I'm not proud of what I did because it affected the children. But you didn't deserve any better from me, Simon replied. You took advantage of me. I always tried to do everything I could for you, and you tried to use that against me. Someone had to look out for me, and when I looked around, I saw that I was the only one who could do it. So Joe, the nice guy, had to leave. So, you decided to spread the word about me all over town? She asked. I couldn't go on a date with a decent guy if my life depended on it. Have you ever thought that maybe it's because of what you did to me, not what I did to you? If you tried to date people in our circle, everyone probably already knew about your little escapade. Plus, you had a child. A single woman in her 40s with a child isn't exactly an attractive prospect for guys of a certain age. However, it's the most attractive prospect for young guys and players. The little girl says she didn't spend the night, and you were an attractive woman. Am I right? She quickly glanced at Simon before lowering her gaze. Yes, I think so. I was just too angry at you to admit it to myself, Devon said. In a nutshell, Devon, Simon said, You were too angry at me. It was all about you, what you wanted, your feelings, your expectations. You never thought about what I wanted, my feelings, my expectations. Maybe it was because I was too nice a guy, always trying to please you. I think you started to think you were better than all of us, entitled to the pedestal I put you on. You became self-absorbed. If it was good for you, it was good for me and the whole family. You were so caught up in yourself. It shouldn't have been a surprise to you that I refused to accept your damn birthday present to yourself. We've talked about loyalty many times, and I never gave you the slightest hint that I might give you that. I thought we were on the same page, and I never had to worry about you asking me for something like this before. Why couldn't you at least love me enough to try to work this out? You didn't even try. You just turned your back on me, Devon said. If you remember, I tried to talk you out of it. I tried and tried, knowing it would be too late once you did it. I knew you couldn't give up on yourself. And that the moment you did, it would be over between us. How could you not see that? Devon grimaced. I saw it. I was just so confident that I knew for sure that you would forgive me after a while. You surprised me. Well, you didn't surprise me. You were consistent. But I was surprised that you didn't give in to me. I used to be able to wrap you around my little finger. Your desires for a house, a car, those things made sense, Simon said. By and large, they weren't important to me. On the other hand, your loyalty was extremely important to me. How could you not see the difference? I was so sure I could make you change one of your core beliefs because of your love for me. Marcy told me that your love for me would win out in the end, Devon said. Simon's eyebrows crept upward. He pursed his lips. Ah, Marcy. That was the missing link in this tragedy. You listened to her. You just tried to ignore me. I was your husband. It should have been the other way around, Simon said. And by the way, what role did that stupid bitch play in your life? It was Devon's turn to purse his lips. I hadn't spoken to her in over 5 years when I finally realized she didn't care about me. She was perfectly happy to be my assistant as long as I continued to sleep around with her after you left, and until I realized she just wanted a partner in crime. A real friend tries to help you become better, not slide into the gutter. It took me a while to figure that out, Devon said. By the way, how does your birthday boy support his offspring? It doesn't seem like the two of you are doing so well, Simon said. Does it make you feel better to know that my life hasn't turned out so well? She said sarcastically. Simon looked at her disapprovingly. No, he hasn't paid me a cent in the last few years. He moved out of state and stopped sending child support. I tried to track him down, but then I realized it would cost me more money than he was worth. Damn it. Nothing I did with that child was worth what it cost me. She shook her head slowly, as if trying to dispel some thoughts. Suddenly it dawned on her. Which one is yours? She asked, glancing quickly at the different children in the park. That little boy on the swing being pushed by a slender red-haired girl, he replied. Devon looked at Simon's nameless finger and saw that it was busy. Is she your wife? She looks a little young for you, she asked, and there was more than just sarcasm in her voice. She's 37. She takes good care of this old man. And our son Liam, he's 3, Simon said. Wow, younger than me. Why do you need that when our 2 are grown and out of the house? Devon inquired. Camilla, she's my wife. She didn't have any children from her first husband, but she really wanted to have children. For a man my age, I'm in pretty good shape. I still go to the gym regularly, ride my bike a bit, and my wife and I do aerobics together, Simon said and blushed, realizing what he had said. Okay, I get it, yes, Devon said. I think I'm happy for you. You didn't deserve what I did to you. Simon smiled grimly. The sound upset his ex-wife. Yes, I didn't deserve what you did to me, he replied. But, in the end, Things turned out really well for me. Really well. But don't expect me to thank you for it. After a few seconds of silence, Devon started to speak, but Simon raised his head at the sound of his wife's voice coming from the swing. "Oh, I have to go. Hey, I have almost a full cup of black coffee here. Not that we've never traded germs before. Want it?" "Sure. Thanks," Devon said quietly. Simon stood up and walked over to the red-haired woman and the small child. His smile stretched from ear to ear.